Guys, programming is a complex business, and the fact that there are a million of them to choose from does not make things any easier, given that my life mission is to simplify the difficult business of programming for size and strength. I want it to cover 5 common things that pop up in programs that are detrimental to your growth. These are the big things that are going to take a lot of effort, energy, attention from you and not really give anything back. So these are 5 reasons your program sucks. Thing number 1 is that the method of progression is either unclear or it's absent altogether. The optimization trap is a pretty common one for lifters to fall into, and this is where lifters mistakenly evaluate their training or the program they're doing now against some imaginary scale of better or worse, as if everything falls into that binary where there is some perfect arrangement of sets, reps, and exercises that they just haven't found yet, and that's why they're not as strong as they want to be. This actually has to be believed as true in order to justify the training ADD and program hopping that so many people participate in. But this just isn't the case. There are a ton of different programs at work, each with different splits, exercises, and recommendations for things like volume, effort, and pacing. They are all made successful by the virtue of one thing: how they handle the progression of stress over time. See, the way I think about it is that training has 2 hits. There's the first hit that comes from doing something new. So if you take a newbie, their first couple weeks in the gym after a lifetime of sitting or laying down, or if you take a seasoned lifter who is in their first workouts with a completely new arrangement of exercises, sets, and reps. In both scenarios, the hit of that new program is going to cause adaptation and growth. But the longer either one of them do that same thing, the harder it's going to be for them to squeeze out progress from it, which brings us to the second hit. The second hit is the increase in training stress that happens within the context of that program. So this describes your ability to make the workouts more challenging so that you continue to grow, which also has to be not so challenging that it causes you to under-recover or overtrain. And this really is the secret of a long-term sustainable program. And it has to be a bit more complex than just go harder than friggin' last time. It's not that that's wrong advice, it's just that it lacks all of the context that's needed when a trainee runs into a wall with their training. So if you got sold on your current program because you believe the split is perfectly ideal for optimizing muscle growth, or because these exercises involved in it are just the bee's knees for getting stronger, that's great, that's all relevant, but that puts you about 13% of the way there. The rest is going to make sure that you understand in a deeper conceptual level exactly how the progressive overload is supposed to work in the context of the program that you're running. So you want to run through your mind each session. How is it going to go over the next month? How are you deciding weight increases? Does the program assume that you're getting stronger week to week and hitting PRs in those weeks? What happens if you don't? If it's a percentage-based program, how do you handle the fixed numbers of the program against the real-life fluctuations in performance week to week? What's your protocol for weeks where you feel like shit or you can't do the prescribed work? Each of these questions has a definite answer, so don't just settle for, I'll cross that bridge when I get to it. Any program that's worth its salt will have a plan that accounts for that, and it's your job to know what that plan is. Thing number 2, your program has excessive complexity. If you're looking through the spreadsheet of the program you're following and it looks like an IKEA manual written in Korean, you may be in over your head. Now, there are plenty of reasons to have a thoroughly complex program. If you're an elite lifter operating under the careful eye of a coach who uses decades of experience to make decisions on your behalf, well, wouldn't that just be ideal? But for the rest of us, the small details of excess complexity are just a trap to get lost in. Our attention easily gets taken up by these minor details that A, we're not likely qualified to make decisions about, and B, won't really make much of a difference to us even if we were. Remember that long-term success with training, it's not about picking the right program that doesn't really exist. It's really in doing the same types of programs long enough that we can actually master them and get comfortable with how they work and that we can make better decisions in the context of that program. So you have to be able to know enough about the program to learn something from it in the first place. So if the type of program you're doing now, if you were attracted to it because it looked like a Rube Goldberg machine that goes through 19 different steps just to drop the ping pong ball in the glass of water, then you are mistaking complexity for actual effectiveness. Simply put, you can't just crack open a complicated spreadsheet and robotically follow the percentages and expect to develop an intuition about how the program works. You need to be able to conceptualize what is changing workout to workout, why it's changing, and what markers you need to look for to know that you're actually on the right track. That's the only way that you can evaluate what you are experiencing right now and use that evaluation to influence what you should do next time around. Your program does not need to be boiled down to the absolute bare bones. That's not to say that any complexity is bad. You just need to be confident that when you look at the whole thing from afar, when it's laid out in front of you, that you can actually follow the plot. All of you should remember that the changes you make, the specific details, should exist to solve a problem. If you can't point to what problem they solve, you're probably better off without the extra hassle. Number 3, it's not a program at all, it's actually a meat grinder. Imagine you only have 4 words to write down on a cocktail napkin to explain to a group of people how to get bigger and stronger. More work, more effort, that's probably going to be about as good as you're going to get. Thankfully, we actually have a few more words than that, so we can actually address the individual issues that pop up in a group of individuals with wildly different training tolerances. But there are some approaches to training that seem to think those 4 words are good enough. In any traditional program, more work can mean adding more exercises, more sets, more reps, more frequency, and any one of those changes will bring a positive result. The thing is, they weren't meant to be jacked up all together at once, at least not indefinitely. Take Smolov, for example, a program that is famous for how difficult it is to get through, but promises wild riches and triple-digit weight increases to those who are up to the challenge. The bones of Smolov is 4 days of squatting, so it's pretty high frequency, and it features both very high volume work with very high intensity work, with each week progressing linearly, uninterrupted, for a month. Some have gotten through it with good results. People claim 100 pounds or more in the time it takes to get through it. Many, though, have stopped short because of crippling knee tendinitis. And absolutely nobody has adopted Smolov as a permanent, sustainable means of training and getting stronger. Ensons is another example, one that I've covered on this channel as well. It's purported to be a mishmash of Chico's notoriously long, hyper-specialized programs with Jim Wendler's simplified 531. One program keeps effort low so that volume and frequency can be high, and the other keeps volume and frequency low so simplicity and effort can be high. By mashing these programs together, you just end up doing everything. It's high volume, high frequency, high intensity, high effort, with weight added each week with no real management of stress. As a growth strategy, it's like a company skipping past trust falls at a team building retreat and instead sending their employees to the needle pit in SAW. The careful balance of stress and recovery is what makes a program, and any program that ignores that or sees it as optional is really only made for the 10% of people that could have handled anything anyways. Meat grinders are great for whittling down a talent pool of 50 athletes to 3 potential world champions, and that's really useful for a small country like Bulgaria who is desperate to claim Olympic medals. But for you finding the fastest route to growth for you, it's like buying lotto tickets instead of finishing your bachelor's degree. But if each losing ticket ruined your knees. Like any lifter who needs recovery the way they need oxygen, sleep is very important to me. So I was super excited to partner with Bear Mattress for this. As a stomach sleeper, sleeping on low quality mattresses would cause my back to droop in the middle of the night, and I would routinely wake up with low back pain. But ever since Bear Mattress paired me with their firm king size hybrid elite mattress, I've been able to wake up feeling fresh. Not only am I well rested from sleeping through the night, but I can even go into my morning workouts without feeling achy or brittle. And unlike other mattresses who use harmful fiberglass as material, Bear mattresses are fiberglass free. Now, Bear Mattress also has a sleep quiz that takes all of the guesswork out of finding out which mattress is appropriate for you. Don't wait till you get the mattress to figure out if it suits your sleeping position or your preferences. Take the quiz and they will match you with the perfect mattress. Bear's mattresses are also made with 3 premium foams designed to remove and push away unwanted body heat. I absolutely cook in the middle of the night, and I hate being warm when I'm trying to sleep. So anything that wicks away heat and keeps me cool is absolutely a plus. The best part about all of this is that Bear delivers your mattress right to your door. With free shipping in the United States, the mattress comes rolled up in a box and is super easy to set up. I was actually able to pop it up on my shoulder and get it upstairs in one go. If it makes you nervous to buy something you haven't tried, Bear has a 120-night sleep trial. So you get 4 months to make sure that you absolutely love it. If you don't, they pick it up for you and you get a full refund. In addition to that, Bear mattresses have a lifetime warranty, and they even offer financing options and flexible payment plans. No money, no problem. Thank you so much, Bear Mattress, for supporting this video. Be sure to go to bearmattress.com/Alexander Bromley to save 30%. That's almost a third off your mattress using code Alexander Bromley. Reason number 4, too much choice. I would advise strongly against programs that seem to include unlimited choices or that require a ton of creative decision making. For instance, a critique I had made of Westside before was that it hinged on endless exotic exercise rotations where people left to their own devices got kind of wacky with their unrestricted decision making. Ironically, the people who actually trained at Westside would work as a team and they would have to vote on which exercises they settled on, and everybody would do the same one, which kind of shows a difference between thinking a choice is extremely important and has to be done just so, like finding a special exercise just for you and your weak points, where it turns out not to really be the case that it was that important that it be specialized. If you pick an exercise and settle on it and you train it just as hard as the rest of your crew, it seems to do the trick. Even something as simple as 5-3-1, which is an approach I'm a big fan of, mainly for its simplicity and accessibility, can get easily twisted with the extra options and add-ons that get presented in all of the follow-up books. Where these should each be a tool to solve a specific problem, think of how many people have wasted hours or weeks deciding between this variation or that, boring but big, the triumvirate, first set last, jokers, anchors, leaders. A case can be made that the individuals who benefited from the choices offered up likely didn't match the number of people who spun their wheels, hemming and hawing over which variation to do for a week and a half before just abandoning it altogether. The paradox of choice is an interesting bit of insight into the day-to-day existential nightmare that is human life on planet Earth. Long story short, where we think we're better and happier for having unlimited choice, so much so that we demand it from our government and corporate overlords, we are actually much, much worse off for it. Now, I could give everybody crippling anxiety by asking the obvious follow-up question. Does that mean people who live in a free society are doomed to be perpetually unhappy? But I won't do that. That is for the philosophy channel that I'm never going to make. Now, I think of this paradox of choice when I'm walking around Barnes & Noble, which is a huge bookstore in the United States. It's something I love to do when my wife is at Ulta, an equally huge makeup store where she spends our retirement on Face Goop. I love big bookstores because of the potential knowledge I could consume, all of the potential experiences I could have if I committed to reading each and every unique book. There's something addicting about seeing so many interesting topics right in front of me and saying, gee, I'd love to learn more about that. Man, I'd really love to read that book. Oh my God, if I just read this entire shelf of business manuals, I would be a millionaire by now. And part of the addictive process is that I literally end up following through on none of it. Seriously, I almost always leave the store with nothing. A similar example is how many of you have spent 90 minutes searching across all streaming platforms on your TV for the perfect show to watch at night before not watching anything and just deciding to go to bed. Simply put, when we have a ton of options, we don't do what a perfect supercomputer would do and logically evaluate the most appropriate course and guarantee for ourselves the best outcome. We do what a panicky human pattern recognition machine would do, which is this: evaluate options poorly using surface level judgments and biased intuitions, not at all like a supercomputer, and then we would obsess over the possibility of making the wrong choice, because each decision now bears the weight of the opportunity cost, which is what we face from all of the options we didn't choose. We eventually get overwhelmed, anxious, and make an arbitrary decision, or we just make none at all. So, unless you are working under the veteran coach who has mastered that particular type of creative programming, or if you are the veteran yourself, commit to something that gives you a little less wiggle room, not more. Now, reason number 5, your program sucks. The training is structured around branding, not good decision making. This is one that is especially irksome to me because it does actually work so well as a marketing device to get people to buy in. Usually whatever program, ebook, or training revolution that we're talking about that is guilty of this sin seems to be a rational approach that solves a problem on the surface level and is like justifiably simple, but it's often the wrong kind of simple. A perfect example of this is Brandon Lilly's cube method. It's a method that might be appropriate for a certain type of lifter, like Brandon Lilly in his prime, really big, really strong, likely enhanced, but was sold to a wider audience because it was just so damn catchy. the program has 3 different protocols. One follows a max effort approach, one follows a repetition-based approach, the other one follows a speed-based approach. And that is taken over 3 different lifts, the squat, the bench, and the deadlift. And that is rotated over 3 different staggered weeks. So 3 by 3 by 3, cube, get it? Honestly, if I came up with that, I would have pissed my pants for how clever I would have thought I was. The problem is that the symmetry exists as a neat marketing ploy that fits a catchy title, not specifically because it works so well for a broad audience. You can make a good case for squatting and deadlifting in this manner. It's difficult to juggle bigger lower body lifts in the same week, especially for a lifter who's really, really strong. So consider solving a problem for someone who is routinely throwing around 600 pound plus in the squat and deadlift. But does the average 275 bencher need to rotate their bench between 3 different modes of training in a staggered, complicated work split? No, in fact, it's probably detrimental. Another example that comes to mind are some of the more egregious gimmicks, like Joel Seedman's chaos training, which is 100% gimmick and not rooted in anything real. But there are also some subtle ones. Does anyone remember escalated density training? Density is a pretty cool variable to play around with, and I often cite it as the reason strongmen develop such impressive posteriors. The ratio of work per unit of time is just so much higher with these types of events, even though they're not the type of full range of motion exercises that are usually associated with peak growth. But escalating density training focused solely on density as a primary driver of growth. It was its own program. Because it wasn't enough to just have it be one tactic in a larger, more complete training recommendation. It had to pop up on T-Nation and exist over several decades as its own confined training program. Catchiness is cool, but when you're trying to evaluate a program, especially one that's supposed to deal with lifts that you might be differently built for, lifts that are different from each other, ask yourself if the catchiness, if the symmetry, if the ease of description of the program that lends itself to a really catchy title, is that the driving force for the decision making, or is it something else entirely? You have to be on the hook to know. So that is 5 reasons why your training program sucks. I'm not calling for you to ditch whatever it is you're doing now, but I want you to start asking questions that are a bit more critical and try to evaluate your training methods by this criteria. And what you'll find is that you're going to find questions either you don't have answers for, and in the process of getting those answers, you're going to be better at solving problems and making decisions on the fly. Or it's going to show you that the lack of these things in your current method of programming is creating a problem that itself has to be rectified by doing something that's more appropriate to you, your training history, and your goals. So hopefully this got you guys thinking. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Go ahead and leave your questions and comments in the comment section. Better yet, take you to Patreon. That is where I answer questions weekly. I upload my training. That is the easiest way to get in contact with me. Let me know what you guys think. Thanks again. Until next time, this is Bromley. I'll see you.